Hello, Hopog High School community. It is Wednesday. This is the first video that we will put out, but we expect to put out a lot more content related to social emotional health specifically. So welcome to our Wellness Wednesday lunches. We will conduct these from now through the end of the year at 1 p.m. on Wednesdays. We will likely live stream it and then afterwards record it and put it out into the world for you to have. Our intention behind these specific videos is a little bit connected to our overall purpose. We talk a lot about being in a position to empower young people to tell their stories personally, professionally, academically, and socially. And so we've been talking about that for a while now. We are cognizant that one barrier to any individual, any person, whether a Hopog High School student or someone else, to telling their story is their social and emotional health and the practices they have and they embody themselves to maintain their social emotional health or explore their social emotional health. I'm not a psychiatrist. I am not a psychologist. I am not meaning to put content out that should supersede or take the place of a mental health practitioner. However, we are hopeful to put out content that does a few things. One, gives you some micro practices that when done can help and have been proven to help set people at ease a little bit and ground people into the present moment. Two, we will put out strategies to think about from a little bit step back from the present moment and think about ways that we might structure our lives or attempt to do things a little bit differently in order to get some control and wrestle some control of what's going on right now. For example, that content might look like, hey, here are some helpful tips to scheduling your day, or here are some helpful ways to talk about school-related stresses in this pretty wild time. That's a little bit different than the micro practices that we will do as well. So each session will have a micro practice. It'll have some general commentary about what we might do. And then the third thing will just be a chance for you to see and connect with different people from Hopog about ways that you might be able to seek help or support should you need that health or support to maintain yourself socially and emotionally. All of this is in service of us working to give you the tools that will best position you to tell your authentic and very unique story to the world and continue to tell that story through your actions and through your decisions as you go on and propel through life. We know this is a very challenging time. We feel privileged to have a chance to roll up our sleeves with the Hopog community and really get through this time together with you. And this is just something that we're putting out with the hope that even if it helps one person in our community, then it's worthwhile for us to put out. So thank you. Again, these are Wellness Wednesday lunches. Here's our first crack at it. Enjoy. Hello, Hopog High School community. Welcome to our first Wellness Wednesday lunch. We have some wonderful people here to introduce themselves. This is part of our team that we call our health and counseling team. And this is a team of people that are really caring so deeply about your social emotional health. We do have one person who you might not know, and I'll have him introduce himself at the end, Mr. James Gallagher from Search Inside Yourself, and we'll talk about that partnership in just a little bit. But Dr. Huang, you want to come in and say hello?
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Huang. I am your psychologist in the building. Please reach out if you need anything, at all. We are here to support you. We miss you, and we would love to see your faces, whether through Google Meet during this time, and, looking forward to seeing everybody in September.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Raffini.
Hi, everyone. It's Ms. Raffini. I'm one of the school social workers. I would just echo what Dr. Huang says. We miss you all terribly, and we love just reaching out to you, and we love when you reach out to us.
J to the Dubs.
So good afternoon, everyone. This is Joe Whitehorse. I'm one of the assistant principals at Hopog High School. And I could add on to what Dr. Huang and Ms. Raffini already said. I'll also mention, one of the biggest reasons we all got into education is because we love helping people and we love connecting with people. So it's hard to do that when we're away. However, we'll do the best we can. So if you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. Email is obviously the best way, but we want to support all of you. So just let us know.
Beautiful. Thank you. Mrs. Pagliari.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Pagliari. I'm also assistant principal at the high school. We miss you all terribly. I know the news on Friday that school is closing for the remainder of the year was hard to hear for some. So we can imagine the toll that's taking on all of you teachers and students that really just can't wait to get back in the building. We want to be there just as much as you. Please reach out to us through email, through any way possible, through the classroom. We are here for you and we're there with you.
Great. Thank you. Mrs. Griffin.
Hello, everybody. It's wonderful to be here as always with this group of people and know that we're reaching out to so many of you in the Hot Pod community. When we say we're in this together, what we mean is that connections are important. And while we can't do that physically right now, we can certainly still do that by phone calls or emails, or you'd be surprised sometimes just how important it is to have a conversation with another person who can validate how difficult this time can be for some people. So, don't underestimate the importance of connecting and letting us know if there's something we can do to help you.
Great. Up next, we have a very special guest, Mr. Gallagher. If you can come on and introduce yourself, and then I'll talk about our partnership a little bit, and then I'll turn it back to you. But if you want to come in and say hello, we'll go from there.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be with you all. As Mr. Cook said, my name is James Gallagher, and I've been an educator for 20 years. The first 10 as a high school English and history teacher, and then the last 10 as a district leader, and most recently focusing on social emotional learning, both for students and for adults, because these are tools and practices that kind of help us all just navigate life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody on the call. Listen, so a few years back, not to say that Hot Pod hasn't taken social and emotional health of students seriously for many, many years and for decades and decades and decades. The reality, though, is the nature of the conversation has changed a lot more recently. And the imperative kind of work that we have in front of us is to think about social emotional health really specifically, and think about how we are building students with like a healthy foundation that can take on the world beyond Hauppauge High School, and we're doing so much more intentionally. Simultaneously to that, we recognize that it's important for us to support our teachers, our educators, our staff, and the families in our community with helpful resources as much as possible around social emotional health too. We live in a very different world today with whether it's technological changes or social media changes or whatever the changes and demands are. It's a very different world. And that was before COVID-19. Now with COVID-19 here and the impact, it's important for us to kind of provide as many opportunities for people to ground themselves, to center themselves as possible. And so last year, we began a partnership with an organization called Search Inside Yourself. And I'll have Mr. Gallagher potentially talk about that a little bit and then go into one of the practices. And the staff that received the first round of training were blown away by the way Mr. Gallagher and one of his partners walked us through some really important social emotional practices. And so our thinking as we've translated into this year and gotten more staff trained is that this is something that we could offer more broadly in a really positive and potentially have a really positive impact on our community, really starting at the individual level. So over the next 7 or 8 weeks on Wednesdays, we'll have this group of people coming together. We'll review some micro practices that could be helpful for individuals in our community to use. We'll talk a little bit about some strategies that we could holistically apply to our work together. And then just finishing it up by having a chance to connect with you a little bit. So Mr. Gallagher, without further ado, if you could talk a little bit about the big picture of Search Inside Yourself, and then walk us through a micro practice, and then we'll come back on and give a little goodbye to you guys too before we get out of here today. Thank you. Mr. Gallagher.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Yes, so Search Inside Yourself, it was actually a professional learning program that was developed at Google. And the idea behind it was at Google, as we kind of stereotypically think, lots of smart people, engineers. And the idea there was they have incredible technical skills and education, but there was room for growth around some of the social and emotional skills for the employees and the leaders at Google. I had the good fortune of going through that training program as a district leader in my prior organization. And as I did, I realized what this content, what these practices were actually social emotional learning for adults in the same way I had been studying social emotional learning for young people, for students. I think it's a very well structured program. And as Mr. Cook mentioned, I had the opportunity to train educators both last year and this past year in Hauppauge. One of the discrete practices that we offer are called micro practices. And these are techniques we can do in just a few seconds. And I'd like to introduce one to you all today. I'll first describe it. It's called 3 breaths, and therefore obviously means it can be done in just 3 breaths. So I'll describe what occurs over the 3 breaths and then offer some guidance so that you can practice it. So the idea is on breath 1, we literally just think about and connect into our breath. Just a reminder that our body on its own is breathing. And just bringing our attention to breathing actually at the level of the brain calms us. It connects into what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the calming part of our brain. On the second breath, I'll guide us to bring our attention to any sensation in our body. For me, often my shoulders can get tense, maybe my face is constricted, or I sense in my stomach I'm hungry. That too has a grounding, calming effect. And then thirdly, you can feel a little silly at first. You'll actually ask yourself and answer, what is most important right now? Meaning, do I need to get up from the computer and take a break? Do I need a snack? Do I need to call or text a friend? And that's just a self-awareness practice. So I'll take a beat. And then this is something you can rewind and work on with the 3 breaths. So on breath 1, just finding where in your body you can feel your breath. Maybe it's your belly rising on the inhale and falling on the exhale. Breath 2, feeling into any sensation in your body. And then on breath 3, literally ask yourself, what is most important right now? And that's it. And with just those few seconds, you've kind of connected into yourself, your breathing, your body, and also getting some guidance as to what will serve you in this moment. So I invite you to practice that, take some time, and see if it serves you over the course of the week.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And next week, I'll do a better job of presenting so you can see the team practicing right along with you. But I'll trust that people know how to use YouTube as we put this up and hit the back button and go through the directions too. But our team here was conducting the 3 breaths as well. And it was nice to see people relaxing a little bit, as we know that practicing these ourselves is important as well. So, Mr. Gallagher, thank you so much. I don't think for today we have a whole lot more to touch into. That was the goal of our launch here. But moving forward, Hauppauge community, we're going to be putting out content related to social emotional health, grounding ourselves. For those of you who are in Hauppauge High School particularly, we had a speaker to begin the year. And I found actually my Shoshin or beginner's mind icon this morning as I was looking through some paperwork from earlier in the year. It is now here. So all of these practices, or many of these practices, are about grounding into the present moment and having beginner's mind and kind of approaching life anew. And so we're hopeful that we can offer you some insight and some thoughts about ways you can do that for yourself. As we close out today, maybe we have a quick little goodbye message and a message of concern to our community. And then also, if you want to give a shout out to anybody, go for it. You got 15 seconds or so. The floor is yours to communicate out to the world. Dr. Huang, take us into those.
So as we close out our first, week of Wellness Wednesday, just want to let everyone know that I'm looking very much forward to seeing everybody on this platform. It does not replace our individual, interactions in the building physically, but know that we are here with you. We are thinking of you, and we're here to support. Thank you.
Beautiful.
As we say goodbye, I'm just excited for everybody to get to know James Gallagher as we've gotten a chance to know him. The practices are so helpful, and it really is worth your time to take the few minutes that they take to really do some self-care.
Beautiful. J-Dubs.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'll say this. Prior to meeting James and going through the Search Inside Yourself course, I had never really considered myself someone who would do that kind of stuff, just mindful and breathing and meditating. And however, it's changed a lot of quality of life for me. A lot of the practices James will show us and guide us through really do make a difference. So I hope you all join us, and I can't wait to do this every Wednesday with you guys.
Beautiful. Christy.
Hi, James, again, thank you for coming on. I really can't even tell you how much your practices have helped with the anxiety level the last few weeks. When we met last week, it was just really nice to connect with the whole group and see all of our faces on the Zoom meeting, making connections. It's funny because we always try to get off social media, get our kids off social media, and now it's like the only platform that we have to connect with people. I couldn't imagine going through this type of situation if we didn't have this tool to really just support everyone. So I hope everyone comes on. We'd love to see you here, and be well.
Mrs. Griffin.
Just a reminder to everybody, wellness is important, mental, physical, and emotional. And it doesn't take much for us to take care of ourselves. Take that deep breath when you're feeling overwhelmed, whether that be physically, emotionally, and just, allow yourself to relax. And, things kind of slow down when we take that breath. And very often it's much easier then to handle whatever is coming at us. So I look forward to spending Wednesdays with you guys and this team, and always a pleasure, James. Thank you. And I will see you guys next week.
Got it. Mr. Gallagher, a final goodbye to the crew for today.
Yeah, I think I want to say to everyone, probably reminding them of the obvious. You have an incredible team here who cares deeply about you and is eager to support you in however you need. I've had the pleasure to get to know them well over the last year and a half. So I would just offer my encouragement to reach out in any way you need, and just close by saying, please take care of yourself, take it seriously, so that you can take care of yourself, so that you can take care of others, your friends, your family, and your colleagues. Wish you all well, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Beautiful.
Thank you all. Deeply appreciate it. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. Really appreciate this group. And we know that this idea of taking care of ourselves is maybe a little bit more removed for some people, but we think that it may be hitting the right note for you as you kind of think about ways that you can take care of yourself now. Thank you, everybody. Peace out.
Bye-bye.